Entrepreneur Live Session, and the topic is appropriately doing a live session, adding a live session to your outreach. And I thought the perfect way to do this episode is to do it live, and then we'll put it on the podcast. And so this is an interactive session, and so you can type your questions into the chat, and I'll answer. Go ahead, give me your experience, your comments, and whatever you want to talk about. And that's the magic of having a live session. Now, I will be joined by Jeremy Turgeon from Reptile Talk. Now, right now, he's working on his equipment, and that is going to be the first thing we talk about is the the benefits and the dangers, risks of having a live event. And the biggest risk is there's nothing planned. You put all the plans you want, and it could go sideways very quickly. Like I was on with Jeremy, 10 minutes should have been long before this started, and we were working through all the equipment, and we had a sound issue. And so whenever you have a live, you're all of a sudden now uh, troubleshooting on the fly while and here we go, you actually may be troubleshooting on the fly while you are presenting. Here we go. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, let's see. Does it work?
Yes, it works.
Sweet.
All right. Are you now on your laptop?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the phone. And so I was just explaining to everybody how live sessions are just wonderful because they're so unpredictable.
It's very true. They are.
So, well, let's go ahead and start with explaining what it is that you do. What is the Reptile Talk podcast, and what does that have to do with live?
Podcast is a podcast I started a few years ago with my good friend Rob Christian, and we basically talk with other reptile keepers from all over the world, talking about stories about them coming up in reptiles, talking about some of the things maybe they breed, and those kind of things. And originally, we actually weren't streaming live. We were doing pre-recorded episodes, but we wanted to gain a little bit more direct interaction with our followers. And after some push from a friend of ours, we decided, let's try this live video thing and see how it goes. And as we've just witnessed, it can go many different ways.
So you decided that you wanted to have more interaction with your community.
Yes.
Explain why you felt that was a value.
I thought we were getting so many people who were messaging us and reaching out to us and saying like, man, we love the podcast. We're enjoying the content so much. Is there any way that we can like send you guys a question, or we would love to hear you guys talk about this or something like that. And, of course we would take that into consideration when we'd speak to somebody. But I was like, man, it would be cool to be able to answer some of these questions in real time. Because maybe they're going to ask a question that we weren't going to touch on, depending on how our conversation was going to go. So that having that, fast ability to respond in live time, in real time, was huge. And we noticed an immediate uptick in engagement just from the sheer fact that we were now able to interact with our audience.
All right. So how long have you been doing this?
We just published episode number 96 right after Tinley. So we started about two and a half years ago.
And every week it's a live show?
Yeah. So since episode like 30 something, we've been doing all the broadcasts live on our YouTube channel.
All right. And how has that gone? So in those 96 episodes, what do you think about live streaming now?
Yeah, I think it's great. It poses its challenges again, as we just witnessed. But I think it's gone very well, and I don't see us having any reason to stop anytime soon. Luckily, as we've talked before, I'm kind of an audiophile, so I'll spend the time and edit audio as necessary, which is version not so great for the YouTube listeners. But
Uh-huh.
in that case, it's just make sure that you have your links to your audio only version in your video description so that people
Mhm.
can click on it in case something like that happens. But overall, it's been an amazing experience. And people really enjoy being able to reach out and ask a question to the guests that we have on, especially when we have people like Kevin from Nerd on or Brian Potter from NARBC, people that unless you know who they are or you get the chance to be in the room with them, it's not easy to get a hold of them
Mhm.
sometimes.
How active are your lives? How much interaction do you get in the chat?
So with enough promotion, we've had certain episodes where we've had over 50 people commenting in the
Mhm.
live stream at one time. On average, we do anywhere between 15 and 30. The biggest variance is promotion, how much advanced promotion we do. Um, like right now, I'm on the road. I'm not even home. I'm in Massachusetts on a tour run, and so that's why we didn't put any content out this week. But that's challenging to lock somebody in with a lot of advance notice, as my schedule changes pretty frequently. So those
Mhm.
episodes don't normally get as much immediate interaction. But we've noticed really quickly, like it's like, man, I missed another one. But that engagement, they're like, we're going to be on the lookout for the next one.
Do you seem to have repeat people who just really love it and they make sure that they're at every episode?
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like if you watch a lot of the other live stream podcasters like Brian Barczyk, when I was working at Nerd, we did live streaming at Nerd, and you notice really quickly the people that are strong supporters of what you're doing, they'll pay attention and make sure they click that notification bell so that they know every single time you go live or post some new piece of content, and they're always right there in the chat. And it's great because it forms a kind of community,
Mhm.
and if you get a really large in-depth chat group going, then you can pick your faves, so to speak, to help
Mhm.
moderate and kind of keep things under control. But yeah, you definitely get that core group of people that's behind you no matter what, and those people are wonderful.
Now, do you have a set schedule that you go live?
So we used to, before I started touring again,
Okay. Mhm.
we would do everything would go out every Thursday. Now it's kind of been whenever the heck we can do it. But starting next month, I'll finally be off the road. So we'll hopefully be getting back to that once a week, posting every
Mhm.
Thursday kind of deal.
And do you see now? Obviously, these lives for anybody who doesn't know, when you do a live and you do it over YouTube, then it becomes a video on YouTube that people
Yes.
can watch ad infinitum for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
How how much interest? How many views do you get after you do your live?
Again, it definitely depends on the guest for sure. Popularity of the guest is a big one, but on average, we'll see anywhere from 400 to 1,000 views per video. Which depending on what the content is about, that's awesome. And you can understand why certain more people want to watch one video versus the other. If it's just kind of Rob and me blabbing about whatever we've got going on, we might get a few less views. But if we get somebody like a Brian Potter or a Kevin McCurley, we might see 1,000+ views in a shorter period of time, which is great. We want to cover the gambit, as far as content is concerned, so we don't mind getting a few less views on certain videos.
All right. Now, have you tried uh, being? Let's say, so you use a software called StreamYard, correct?
Yes, yep.
And why did you pick StreamYard?
Honestly, it was because it was the first thing that I found when I started looking for it, and the
Okay.
reviews seemed really good. I reached out to a couple of other friends that did podcasting, that were like, "Yeah, we've used Streamyard before, and it's worked very well for us." So I just jumped on it based on recommendations, and
Okay.
it's done well for us so far.
Now, did you ever consider just using the native live capability of YouTube?
So I was looking into that at first. When I started it, we needed certain qualifications, and I didn't meet those qualifications at first to be able to utilize live access.
Okay.
So once we passed that, then it was like, okay, maybe. But we'll also stream the video to our Facebook page. We
Mhm.
didn't want to lose
Okay.
that audience also.
Yeah. Okay. So you do where all do you stream this show to?
So for lives, it's just to YouTube, and then I send it to my personal Facebook profile, and then I send it to the Reptile Talk podcast Facebook profile as well.
Okay. All right. So you're doing YouTube and Facebook simultaneously.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you need StreamYard for that.
yeah, yeah.
So, do you do any other lives besides that official show of yours?
So I do a bunch of live streams on my personal Instagram
Okay.
for Brassman Rep. That was another one that I was doing fairly consistently until we started going back on the road. And originally, it just started as a way to kind of kill time doing the mundane tasks of cleaning reptile enclosures.
Hmm.
So I would just pop up the phone, put it live on Instagram, and people would just jump in and we'd chat and be like, hey, if you want to see an animal, I'm in here cleaning. It's the best chance for you to take a look at an animal while I'm looking at everything. And that started to gain some traction. And then I would get certain friends of mine that would want to jump on the live stream for a couple minutes and chat. Um, and it just kind of became a thing. And I still actually get messages from people who want those to come back.
Hmm.
I would do them every Sunday night. So it was just kind of like a good way for people to unwind before they would go into their work week again. They'd have a few days before the next Reptile Talk podcast would come out. So they're like, we just need something.
All right. So then you become the perfect person. I knew I had you on here for a reason. So you have now encapsulated both main approaches to a live show. The first, which is the most common, is okay, I'm just going to put on a live and I'm going to talk to somebody while I'm cleaning cages. It's a very informal, intimate setting there. And then on the other hand, you have a very formal, okay, we're going to do it every Thursday night. We're going to use this software that allows me to do an official interview, just like we're doing right here. So
Yep.
let's work on the listenership here and
Mhm.
tell them what are the advantages of each and how would someone what's the benefits of each? How would someone use those two tools?
Yeah. So I think I think the formal interview kind of style provides the most benefit in the informational aspect. Especially if you're planning, you know who your guest is going to be. If you're going to have a guest on, you'd probably maybe have some questions already lined up. Maybe you've reached out to some friends that they've had some questions that they would want to ask that person, and you can really get some information across while also having the ability to do live interaction with your listeners. The nice thing with utilizing something like YouTube, because unless you have a large following on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're not really getting any money from the live
Mhm.
streams. So the benefit with YouTube and kind of doing a more formal thing is people can send super chats, which is a nice little way to make a little income off of your time. And you're then providing a service almost, so to speak. Allowing people to
Mhm.
get information from somebody they do. From the informal side, I think the benefit is you don't necessarily need to be as polished, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
You know, if the internet goes down, and suddenly you can't stream, it's not the end of the world. It's just a
Yeah.
Facebook live or it's an Instagram live, whatever. If suddenly internet drops, neither of us are going to be happy. So
Yes, yes. One of us is going to be carrying the show, or else the viewers are going to be going, well, what's going on?
so the informal aspect is nice just because there's way less pressure.
Mhm.
Um, it's also easier from the standpoint of getting somebody to join. Instead of like a lot of the formal stuff through YouTube, especially if you're using a third party software, you have to send them a link. They've got to click it and go through all the steps. The info live or Instagram live, you just click add to stream and then they just pop up and it's magic.
Yeah. Yes.
um, so from that instance, the informal stuff I think can be a little more fun. You can have that
Mhm.
more playful aspect to it. Um, but and it's typically, some people don't do it this way, but it's typically not as in informational,
Yeah.
because you're doing something mundane, you're cleaning a cage, or you're just decided, oh, I just want to you just want to talk to a friend on a live stream and see what topic comes up,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, versus something like this where there's a little bit more structure to it. So somebody who's going to listen to something like this is probably going to be really that much more invested in
Yeah.
what's happening,
Yeah.
versus somebody that just wants to go live on their phone.
Yeah. And we are these live sessions, like these live interviews, are a little bit in the they're not YouTube mainstream. People are used to coming in and just being amused very quickly. Maybe they'll stick around, probably not. And so when we're doing like an hour long show, it's like the retention by the end of the show is 15% or
Right.
something like that. And so it's a little bit different than the standard YouTube listener or watcher viewer is looking for. And so you just don't expect to have those huge numbers
Right.
unless there are people that end up being able to do that, like good old Dylan Perrin from Animals at Home Network. I don't know what his retention numbers are, but his long interviews are quite popular. He's got a
Yeah.
lot of views, and he's doing very well with that. So I kind of consider him breaking the mold, which I'm very happy to see that somebody has done.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a challenging thing to kind of break into. The long form content does really well. Again, we've talked before on audio only, where you can pop it in and go on your commute to work or clean the house or whatever, but to get somebody
mhm.
to sit down and pay attention for that hour, is a little bit more challenging. So yeah, it's good to see that some people are able to break down that wall and get that retention time and get those viewership numbers up.
Yeah, and just for the benefit, I'll let everybody know what I do for lives. I actually have 4 lives that I do a week.
Mhm.
Let's see, is it 4 lives that I do at work? Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, maybe 3. Oh, okay. So 3 lives that I do a week. Uh, and one of them is the just my semi-formal Instagram. I just go
Mhm.
live on Tuesday evenings and talk about whatever. I will build a cage in front of the camera and just talk with anybody who wants to come.
Mhm.
And then I have on Saturday mornings. No, actually Thursday evenings. I have the exotic pet adventure with Sean McNeely, and I'm a co-host, but I'm mainly doing the technical stuff.
There you
It's
go.
his show, but we use my software, and I do the technical stuff in the background. And when we have a problem with a guest, I'm working with the guest in the background while Sean is dancing in front of the crowd and just
Right.
making sure
It's
all
a
works out.
vital That's a vital role, though. That's a vital role.
Oh my goodness. It's when you are doing live shows, it's what happens when things go wrong. And
Yes.
you need to be so good at dancing and just keeping the crowd, hey, you know, and it happens so often. It's not like you can prepare for something going down, especially when you bring on guests.
Right.
Uh, the,
Right. Yeah, you're at the mercy of their Wi-Fi connection, their cellular network, or whatever. Yeah, you just
yep,
don't know.
yep. And then on Saturday morning, I have Chameleons and Coffee at 8 a.m., where it's a informal discussion of the topic of the weekend. So I have a chameleon hour that
Mhm.
premieres on YouTube Friday evening, and so it's about an hour of chameleon content, and then Saturday morning it's a live session where we all discuss it, and often I have the guests that were on the main interview for the chameleon hour. They're there on the live, and we all talk and interact,
Yeah.
and uh, and I will just let everybody know the origin of that. My original idea was I'm going to have my special chameleon hour on Saturday morning, and it's going to be a live session, and it's going to be great. Um, and the problem was, and I did that, but the first 2 episodes, uh, the audio on my guests were just so bad that we'd get every third word, and sometimes the screen would blank. And yeah,
Mhm.
I powered through. We're going to make it. But I realized that if I wanted to have a formal show that people wanted to come to and were looking forward to come to, I couldn't afford, my brand couldn't afford to be, oh, okay, but the audio is going to be horrible and painful to listen to.
Right.
Uh, so I had to do a change. And so this is how I changed it up.
Yeah.
Uh, but I still value the live interaction for the same reasons that you're talking about. Is it gets you to know the people. It develops super fans that
Yeah.
are loyal to your brand. And I know who those people are because I see them week after week. And I have some people that travel from Instagram to YouTube when I do my lives, and I get to know their names on both platforms, as well as their real name. And
Right.
you know who the people are, my special people, because when they come up, I'm not calling them by their screen name. I'm calling them by their real name because I
Yeah.
make it a point to learn the names of the people who have been so good to follow my outreach like that. So
Yeah.
you develop closer
Absolutely.
relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I mean, when I think if you think about in any sort of business context, we're talking about, building a brand and what that means. And it's really, you can have flashy this or catchy that, whatever, but it's about the interaction with the people and getting to know the people. If you're looking at just doing something and then making a quick buck, that's not really helpful. You're not really
Yeah.
doing anything. In this instance, like I said before, we're almost providing a service. We're becoming a resource for certain people, to pay attention, to listen, to learn some things. And hey, what's going on, man? Um, so it's these people do both with their
Yeah.
time and sometimes financially as well. So taking the extra time to dig a little bit deeper and show that kind of gratitude for their support. Much further for you as you can that following getting those people platform, from Instagram to YouTube or
Yeah,
vice
that's
versa.
huge.
It's huge. It's not an easy thing to do. So many people, so many content, one platform they do really well on for the
Yeah.
most part, and they stick with it, which is nothing bad for that, but the crossover defaulting back to where they're most popular. So to get a
Hmm.
good
Hmm.
following between multiple platforms is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about if somebody wanted to, had an outreach. A lot of us have Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and maybe some
Mhm.
Facebook. Each one of those platforms has a native live feature.
Mhm.
And so, what are some reasons why you would say advise people to use that native feature or to step out of that and actually invest in an encoder, what do we call these things? Video, our streaming software, third party
Yeah.
streaming software.
Yeah. Um, so I think it's always good. We spoke about this before, was to start where you're at your most popular. Build your following there and start to work with those people, network with those people, connect with those people. And then check things out after that. If you start an Instagram account and you've got 250 followers or whatever, and you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go live. I'm going to see who shows up, who I can talk to, whatever. And you get a couple people that show up, you talk to them, you know, shoot them a message and just be like, hey, thanks so much for jumping on that live stream. That meant a lot, you
Hmm.
know,
Yep.
that grassroots effort, right? Um, Going to the different live platforms, it helps to get a little bit of understanding of what each one of them, how each one of them acts. The more attention you're getting, the more people are going to be shown your live stream. In Facebook, it's pretty much relegated to your friends. Other people may join in if somebody shares it or whatever. But most of the times, in my experience with watching a Facebook Live, it's that person's friends. maybe one ring outside of that circle. If a friend shares it, one of their friends jumps on just to check it out. Instagram, there's a little bit more organic potential with the live streams. People can share it to a lot more people easier. There's a little share button on the bottom of the screen. I used to tell people when I did my Instagram live streams, there's a little paper airplane. It looks like this. Click that and share it with 5 people. It's really easy. You don't leave the live stream. You click it. All the names pop up of the people you're following or that follow you. Tap 5 or 6 names, send, and then boom, you're right back to the live stream. You never left. You didn't miss anything. So that allows for a good amount of organic reach. Surprisingly enough, the live stream feature on TikTok has the most organic reach out of all the live stream platforms, which is interesting. I've talked to multiple people who they say if you do the quote unquote right thing in front of the camera to get people's attention and you get that attention, it will start just getting shown to people as the platform says, hey, there's a lot of people watching this. It must be interesting. It must be good. We're going to throw a net out with this live stream and see who we can catch. And if you gain some more followers, great. And if you don't, well, we're never going to share you again, and then YouTube, I feel very similarly to Facebook is really your subscribers, the people who are paying attention to what you're doing. And there's some reach on that as you share it and promote it. I think the biggest thing across all the platforms is the amount of promotion time that you put into each episode or each live stream that you're going to do, even if it's just a day in advance. Let some people know, like, hey, 8 p.m., it's Friday, 8, I'm going to go live. We're going to talk about this. Come check it out. Or if you're going to give yourself a longer period of time to promote, make a quick little reel, and on Instagram, like, hey, I'm going to be going live this day. I'd love to see you there. I'm going to tell maybe he's going to join me, whatever. Jump on unless they know, or unless that platform's like, hey, check this out. It could be checking it out.
Yeah. I found that the native live players are really good if you want to try out live, if you want to do a small, intimate, it doesn't have to be small. Some of these are huge, but it's more of an intimate thing to where you say, oh, okay, here, I'm going to talk to you. And things like that are, they're popular on Instagram and they're very popular on TikTok. And for TikTok, we start talking about strategy here. TikTok is a little bit more difficult to establish a relationship with the viewers because you get thrown into this For You page. It's just this churning of video after video after video. And so, yes, if your videos multiple of your videos end up on somebody's For You page, they start to get to know who you are. But generally speaking, you're just part of the churn. And so creating a live stream allows you to bring people out of that churn and to spend time with you and establish that relationship. And so you get that a little bit on Instagram. I think on Instagram, we had a whole lot more account loyalty, shall we say, or account recognition on Instagram. And so, and I got to say, as crazy as Instagram has been, their addition of stories and all of these different features has actually been quite nice as far as establishing relationships with your followers.
100%.
And so that's worked very well. But it's those intimate lives that can really bring people in to spend time with you, or to pierce that veil of these are all my great Instagram posts and they all look perfect, but now you're talking to me as a person. And so it's a personal touch. So I highly recommend doing it without a plan and just do it. I mean, you don't even have to tell anybody you're doing it. Just all of a sudden go live, and it's amazing how many people just glom on and say, "Yeah, what's going on here?"
That is also very true. Yeah, helping tell people that you're going live. They'll send your follow like a batch of your followers a little notification that says, "Hey," so they really help
Mhm.
get those people there. So yeah, in that instance, you don't even need to really say or do, "Hey, I'm going to go live. Let's do
Yeah.
it." Boop, and then you're done and you're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, in the reptile world, I've got so many people that go live because they're cleaning a cage, and they just, hey, I may as well talk to people, and it works. It works really
Yeah.
well. Now, the platform that you are seeing Jeremy and I on, this is going to be turned into a podcast, but podcast people know that this is a live show that you can find on the Reptile Entrepreneur YouTube video channel. And
Mhm.
so you can see all of the things that we're talking about. In this case, I'm not going to sanitize it. Usually, when I do something like this, I take out all of the visual references. So
Yeah.
you think that, okay, it's an audio experience, but in this case, we need to talk about the visual aspects because you are going live visually.
Right.
And uh, so you do have the option to be a little bit more formal about your lives and do exactly what Jeremy and I are doing right here. We have planned for a live session. We have the third party software that
Mhm.
gives us much more control over the live, more options for the
Yeah.
live than, say, the native players. And
Right.
on this software here, this is Restream, and so there are two major software providers of live software, and that is Restream, which I use, and StreamYard, which Jeremy uses. And so we're going to go over a list of features. I'm going to show you, and for those people listening on the podcast, go to the Reptile Entrepreneur YouTube channel so you can see what's going on here. We're going to describe it as much as possible, but it really is a visual thing. Uh, but I'm going to show a couple of features here that you can do on Restream. And Jeremy, I want you to let me know if you have those same things on StreamYard.
Cool.
I'm actually
Let's
I'm
do it.
actually thinking of next year switching to StreamYard just so I can try both platforms. But so the first thing we've got here is I can control what the screen looks like
Mhm.
on YouTube, Instagram. At least on Instagram, you can bring in pictures and videos, and then you become a little picture in picture. But there's a lot more control with Restream. And so you can see here, I've got my logo in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. That's the Reptile Entrepreneur logo there. And because I do other shows, I can at any time change it here. And so these, I'm now scrolling through my different logos for the different shows that I do. So you can personalize the appearance of your presentation.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, is that the same in StreamYard?
It is. And I assume this was so the background video. Did you have to upload that to StreamYard
This
or to I'm sorry, to
background
Restream?
is, yeah, this one is stock. So I have, and right now I'm
Okay,
just
cool.
cycling through all the different backgrounds that I can select, and because I know Jeremy's kind of a happy guy, so you know what? Let's go ahead and
Woohoo!
kind of psychedelic there.
I'm
and
here
so
for it.
you can and you can upload your own, which if
Yep.
you see what
Cool.
I've done on the frame, so that was the background. And this is, I have control over where Jeremy is and where I
Mhm.
am on the screen. There are different options for how we are, how we're set up on the screen. And you can see a lot of very interesting, and which one you pick depends upon what you are doing.
Right.
For
Yeah.
example, another thing that I can do is I can do show you my screen. I can screen share, and what I've got there is, let's see, I've got Right now, I have up my Reptile Entrepreneur site, and you can see how Reptile Entrepreneur takes up the main screen, and then Jeremy and I are over to the right.
Mhm.
And I have other options. I can put us on the bottom. And then I can, so there's a number of things that I can do with how the screen is presented that I wouldn't be able to do in other software. So this, I can put up a slideshow to take up this main screen.
Yeah.
I can do screen sharing. And so there's a lot of things, elements that I can bring into the show with this software. Let's see. We're going to go ahead
Yeah,
and
Stream very similar for that, for sure.
okay. And if you notice around the frame, I've made a frame consisting of vines and leaves and chameleons. And so that is once
It's
again,
very it's very on brand.
yes, it is. And so, I mean, there's a couple of things that good old Restream gives me that I can choose. I'm
Yep.
not sure who designed all of this stuff, but it's there. And I can do something.
Uh,
I can put on an overlay. This frame is an overlay. It's a PNG overlay, and so this is from a show that I did on Saturday. So it's an overlay right now. That's all you see is that overlay. And as soon as I'm
right.
ready to bring back, so I can create an intro to the show.
Mhm.
And in fact, I can have a video intro to the show, and this is a an intro that I did for one of my Chameleon Academy shows. And when it's done playing, voila, me and Jeremy show up
We're
ready to
back.
go. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Heck yeah.
And so, and then there's, I have the ability to add on 10 guests. They can be guests, 10
Mm,
guests. I have 10 windows. So it's 10 guests or 9 guests and a screen share, or 9 guests, a screen share, and a slideshow presentation. And I can bring them up in any order and then switch them around on the screen. So I've decided, Jeremy needs to be to the other side. And it's a quick change.
yeah.
So this is the kind of power that this software provides. And it's not cheap, but
Right.
you decide, hey, what do you want for your show? What's important for the show? And so,
Yeah. And I think that can be also a deciding factor when you're doing the native platform. You're not subjected necessarily to those fees, but as you said,
yeah,
you get far less flexibility and abilities
yeah,
to do different things like that. So uh, you're just starting, and you're like, okay, I just want to try this out, see, get my hands, into it and see, and then go from there. Which is kind of like what Rob and I did when we started the podcast. Is like, all right, we're gonna dabble with this, and then and see how it goes. And we're like, all right,
mhm,
this is cool, but I want to do those cool things. So I guess we got to put
yeah,
up a little money
yeah.
for that.
And that's the question. If you're just starting off, you're just wanting to do uh, that intimate live feeling, you don't need to invest in this kind of stuff.
Right.
Jeremy and I are producing a professional show, and that's our intention, is to be able to have that flexibility so we can create an experience more than just, hey, I'm cleaning a cage. There
Yeah.
and I don't want that to seem like I am saying that one is better than the other. They are
Right.
two different tools that produce two different experiences, and I use both of those. I think both of those are important for your outreach. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, I love what I can do with this software in creating a show.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, think about how far podcasting as a whole has come, from in the
Oh
very
yeah.
beginning. Now to be able to do something like this, and bring from literally anywhere in the world, you and still have this kind of power with that person, that's huge.
Yeah, I keep asking myself, man, this is great. How come I wasn't doing this before? And then I remember, oh yeah, it's because you couldn't. I mean, you literally
Yeah.
didn't have the software to do it. Oh,
Yeah.
give me a second.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was. This is relatively new that we can do it at this level. Uh,
Right.
I had to plug in my computer here. So I mean, this software is relatively new, and you also say how many guests could have supported this. Uh, Considering that right now we have uh, I have all sorts of problems with guests coming in as it is. So we're still not to the point where this is everybody can do this.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
we
for sure.
have popcorn. Ledka gives us popcorn.
Hey,
Yeah, hey,
I would love
sounds
some pop.
great.
Oh
And
man.
we've been joined by Intrepid Exotics.
Hey, what's going
Hello.
on, Tim?
All right. So uh, let's see where was going to go with this. Okay, so strategy. I'll tell you with
Yes.
my show when I'm putting this together. So when I got serious and decided, okay, I'm going to put together a show, uh, this takes a lot of work to make sure that this works properly. My shows work properly. There is getting the guest ready. They're sending in the links. There's putting together graphics. There's making sure that I have an outline of what's going to go into the show. I'll have my video clips and I'll have everything together. It takes a lot of work to do a show like this.
Mhm.
When I just want to do my Instagram live, I just set it up and just hit go and let's go. And so yeah, you decide what fits with your outreach.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things you have to ask yourself too. Do I want to play style live stream? Uh, where it's very informal, just kind of, literally put your phone somewhere and just bang. Or do I want to do a show that's
Yep.
got a little bit more professionalism to it? And I want to promote it. I want to have good good graphics. I want to get maybe some video clips and stuff. That certainly takes time.
Yep.
And just like every other aspect of social media, consistency is key, especially when you're first out. So if you're trying to create graphics, if you're bringing on people, different guests, and you've got to be able to make those graphics. It takes some time, and make sure that you have the
Oh yeah.
time available and you're willing to put it in, to make it everything that it can be. I mean, as Bill showed you that intro, I mean, like that, I'm sure that took more than 30 seconds to generate, you know
Well, yeah.
um so I mean, but it just takes that little amount of effort, and if you're doing those extra things, to kind of take this to the next level, then it's just something to keep in the back of your mind for sure.
Yeah. Now, Intrepid Exotics is talking about a software that they use, which is vMix. And honestly, I don't know much about vMix.
I don't
And
either.
you know, Intrepid, I'd be very interested in hearing what you have to say about vMix. You don't know how it compares to StreamYard. Can you let us? And it's a pretty complex program. Can you maybe give us a little background as to how you ended up with vMix and how it compares to? You don't know how it compares to StreamYard, but and your experience and why you chose vMix? Because I'd be very
Well,
interested in hearing that.
yeah.
Because I've just pulled up vMix right now, and yeah, it looks okay. Let's see, a lifetime. You get a lifetime license, so that's interesting. Um, yeah, that sounds nice to me.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
but so I can take a look at this, but yeah, Intrepid. I'd like to hear what your what your experiences have been with vMix. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's not one that I've been evaluating. Now, one advantage of having this third-party software is that you can stream to multiple platforms. So I could go to Facebook, Twitter. Where else could I go? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So many different
Yep.
options out there.
Yeah.
Now, you can't do Instagram and you can't do TikTok. And that is 100% because Instagram and TikTok don't want to allow that. So there are workarounds. I know some people who have unofficial workarounds, and Instagram hasn't shut that down yet. But I haven't tried it, and I don't know how. This is obviously a landscape format. How that would apply, how would that work on the profile formats of Instagram and TikTok? I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
So, but I am actually going to be on a formal TikTok show. This is Summer Winston from the shop, who I had on the Reptile Entrepreneur podcast, is putting together a
Yeah.
formal TikTok live
Nice.
show, which I'm very excited to see how they're going to do that. And they're
Yeah.
talking about doing like some overlays and stuff like graphics. And I didn't know you could do that on a TikTok platform. So obviously, I am going to soak up all the information possible from my
Yeah.
my
Absolutely.
being on that show.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Let's see. Intrepid comes by and says a lot of overlay capability. Okay. Full Stream Deck interface, which is huge. Triggers for cutscene. Oh boy. Be able to do cutscenes? Not particularly user friendly. Okay. Yeah. You got to pay for it somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. That is I'm interested in checking that out. I heard about OBD. Have you done anything with OBD? Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for the audience. I'm not going to be able to tell you much about OBD. That is an open source video encoder that a lot of people use. I couldn't get it to work on the Mac, and I still haven't figured out whether it gives me any capabilities above and beyond Restream. But that's part of my personal growth, and I'll figure that out and pass that on to everybody else once I figure out what's going on. Oh. All right. So what in the
Hey,
world is this?
Silver Cash is in the building. I think that's a shout out. Thank you to Brian Barczyk. Yeah, he's been for some stuff that he's been helping him out with. So heck yeah,
Excellent.
man. Some love to Brian Barczyk, man.
Yeah. So, okay, now's a good time. We're coming to the end of the hour. Now's a good time
Yeah,
to put any questions you have in the chat. So, does anybody have any questions, any comments, any
we-
experiences? What do you think about live? What have you done as far as live? Please share. And
yeah, I'm definitely interested. I want to explore that and certainly see what that has to offer.
yeah, I pulled it up, and yeah, okay. I'm going to have to go back later because boy, it's got a lot of graphs and checks, and so I think they are serious. I'm not sure exactly what they're serious about, and if streaming is just part of. It looks like it's just part of the software suite. You're supposed to produce videos and record videos and such, and
Interesting.
it looks like streaming is just a part of the entire package. So interesting. Um,
Yeah,
and
definitely have to
streaming
check
is
that out.
becoming more and more common. I've got my like Riverside.fm is a great software package for doing audio interviews. Well, actually,
Mhm.
video interviews as well. And what it does is it records video and audio on both sides, so you don't have to worry about internet interference.
Right.
And I just saw I I just read something about them doing streaming, and so I've got to figure out, is that an add-on or what?
Right.
But it looks like it's becoming more and more common.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the streaming culture is popular overall. I think it's these third-party interfaces which are, incredibly helpful, but I think those few that don't jump on board or are not looking at jumping on are potentially missing out on opportunity. As it is incredibly popular, especially with younger content creators.
Yeah, it's something that is starting to become mainstream, and I still don't know how it's going to turn out.
Right.
How is it? People are still figuring out how to use it right now. There's a lot of, hey, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm cleaning poop, join me. Uh, but I know that there's going to be a lot more potential behind it. And I personally had great plans for live streaming, and I've had to put those on hold once I saw how risky it was as far
Yeah.
as bringing people on. Like, I wanted to have a a, a digital convention of around a certain theme, and have people come in and give a what 15-20 minute lecture and just have a whole theme of a day. Sounds great, sounds wonderful. But then I
Yeah.
realized just how difficult that would actually be, and how much of a disaster it would be. And it'd be great to charge for something like that and say, okay, if you come on, you
Right.
offer your expertise, uh, this is going to be a paid event and you get paid for being a lecturer. So as soon as you get to that level, you can't afford to have bad audio quality.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure. For sure. Yeah, it's definitely
so
it's definitely the audio quality thing is huge. And it's funny because in the last episode we put up, I noticed we had some moments where Wi-Fi must have gotten a little spotty and the audio just kind of cut out a little bit and then came back. And it's like,
yeah,
man, unfortunately, as good of an audiophile as I am, I can't bring audio back from so
yes. Oh. All right, so let's see. Craft Brew Morphology is here,
hey, what's up?
and I'm assuming that this is a greeting, uh, or is this asking us which platform is good for live streaming?
Maybe both. Oh
Craft
man.
Brew, are you asking? Are you just saying hello? Or are you asking what our recommendations are?
Oh man.
And Intrepid, you say huge educational value behind live streams, and I agree. We've got so much potential. Uh, I'm interested, Intrepid, what your experiences are, how much you can rely on it. What I mean, I cringe. Like last Saturday, I had a problem with the audio, and I only got every third word, and I knew it just wasn't a good experience. I
Yeah.
mean, the guest was great, the topic was pertinent, but then the audio just made the experience iffy. And
Yeah.
I've got my super fans that are going to be there for me no matter what, but I want them to have a good experience. And so, Intrepid, I'm interested on what you plan on doing to maintain your live streams. So,
Yeah.
well,
That's true.
okay, there we
Yeah, you and
go.
I had the same issue on a live. It's true. Yeah. I yeah, cell connection issues. Yeah, exactly. I was supposed to do an episode with Tim on his podcast, and I think the day before or 2 days before, I got called to play at a wedding, and so I had to do that, and I had maybe an hour, little under an hour in between sound check and actually. So I was like, hey man, I'm on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. So this is going to be really fun.
So, well, what platform were you using?
I think that was vMix. We were on Tim's live
Okay.
stream. I think that might have been vMix.
Yeah, this is crazy because whenever somebody is using a cell phone, I get this very choppy audio, but that doesn't make sense because you can go on a cell phone on Instagram or YouTube and the audio is going to be perfect. And so I wonder
And it's
what,
fine.
still trying to figure out what that is.
You know, and what's interesting too is I have that problem. If I go live from my phone on Facebook, my audio is horrible. But I can go do a live on Instagram or a live on TikTok or even a live from the podcast through StreamYard, and they are fine. Understand how that happens.
All right, here's our our answer from
From Craft
Craft Brew.
Races, both.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm doing fine. I'm sitting here talking about some of my favorite topics. I love streaming and podcasting. That's how I'm doing.
Yeah,
And,
same. I'm having a good time.
and as far as platforms, if you want to go live, question is, what do you want to do with it? Because the platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, individual TikTok, the individual platforms, they have a great live. You just go on. But as far as the official professional software, like we're working on right now, I've only had experience with Restream, and I think Restream and StreamYard are so totally different. I remember when I was researching which one to get, it literally came down to, okay, I'm going to go with StreamYard because they've got a duck in the as a logo, and uh, but then Restream had this really awesome Black Friday deal, and I said, okay, we'll do that. But they seemed
Yeah,
very similar. Now
yeah,
Tim comes up with this vMix, and so throws a wrench into the whole thing.
yeah. Right. Thanks, Tim. It
Oh,
takes
this
so
is, it
long to
takes
get
so
vMix
long to get
lined
VMS
up.
lined up. Last live, I had a really impressive setup, and 3 minutes before going live, I lost all my shortcuts and audio setups and just had to wing it with bad echoes. Oh my, that.
Oof.
Oh, I'm cringing right now just thinking about it. We've been there.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
been there.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so painful.
Yeah. Do lives, they said. It's great, they said.
It'll be fun. And so I, you know what, I have adjusted to the unpredictability um, of lives, and sometimes they're great. They work great, and they
Yeah.
lull me into a false sense of security. And then I'll have something completely messed up, and I'll realize, boy, I can't let down my guard. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It keeps you on your sure.
well, I'm going to ask you, what do you do when you have a show and then all of a sudden the audio it's just not working for some reason? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple instances where we've had some audio faux pas, both on our end and on the end with a guest. Um, with luckily we're pretty flexible. We just can't seem to get something down. We're just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna scrub this, and we're gonna try to reschedule.
Mhm.
Because some, it's you can try to power through and on, but the chances of it itself, whatever the issue might be, is very, very. And then you've got your listeners to think about that, want to be
Yep.
there and want to listen to you, but they're all going and then they're going to be gone. They don't want to
Yep.
listen to
Yep.
that, which is fine. I understand that for sure. So, in the that's where my love for music and everything comes in. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I tweak this? Is this something I can tweak for the audio only? If it is, then we'll do a redirect and get people to go, listen to the audio only version. And we can pull the video if we wanted to do that. So that's a nice kind of scapegoat. Um, we've never had an audio drop, thank God. We've had like very
Okay.
minor technical things. I'm not anxiously, but I am waiting for the day for the audio drop to happen because I know it's inevitable.
Oh, Jeremy, there was one live that I was doing, and then for some reason, I still don't know why, I
Mhm.
got dropped off. And so
I
my
remember you
guest
telling
was
me
sitting
that.
there. Oh boy. And he was just, okay, what do I do? Hello, everybody. Anybody have any questions? And
Yeah.
he had to just carry it. And it was just, the thing is, I could see it, but the software would not let me get
Oh,
on.
that's the.
So I could see him
Uh,
doing it. I'm sitting here pushing all the buttons and nope, nope, we don't accept any input from you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
right.
actually had to shut it down, and I couldn't even bring I had to shut the computer down and then bring it back up. It was
Oh
miserable.
man.
So,
Sheesh.
but things like that happen on a live, and
It's
you
true.
sometimes you wonder, all right, what am I getting out of this
Yeah, yeah,
that
right,
that
right.
justifies this? Because people are gonna your customer, your viewers, your followers, they're gonna get tired of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had to, you got to make that judgment call as to how bad is this? Everybody showed up,
Right.
but do you cancel? How bad is it? And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and that was like that
judgment
was so
call.
when we started the Reptile Talk podcast, we had issues with audio levels, and we were just doing pre-recorded stuff. I would do like a really simple run through of the audio, make sure everything sounded good. But the audio on the mix that I was sending out was very soft. So we had a lot of people messaging us for probably the first 2 dozen shows. We'd have like two okay ones, one that was like solid, and everyone was guys figured it out. And then two, the audio is really quiet. And I figured sending out the audio file, it wasn't transferring the edits I was making in the audio software. So I had to go back and make sure what I adjusted in the EQ was also transferring over to the audio file so that I actually hear it. And then
Mm,
I got, which was turn the volume knob up only 25% and get it so that you could hear it clearly.
jeez.
And if you could hear it clearly at 25%, then you knew people wouldn't have to sit there turning up their volume, all the way and cranking it so that they could hear what you were saying. So,
Okay.
again, that's just the audio file. Likes tweaking with that kind of stuff, but I'll do that all day long.
All right. Well, here's okay. This is the kind of guy I want on my show. This is the kind of guest. It's someone who has Ethernet and an external microphone and headphones. Headphones. Make sure you got headphones there. So the audio,
Yeah,
you don't
right,
have to do
right.
the click in the echo cancellation software, which does things to the audio.
Yeah.
So, but that's another thing we should bring up with this third-party software. I can have a 1080p high quality webcam pointing at me right now. I have got a microphone here that is of serious quality. And
Mhm.
so you can do that with this software. It's a little
Right.
bit harder. I guess you could do that with anything that you could plug into your phone if you wanted to do that. Um, but yeah, usually
Yeah, there
we don't.
are there are ways to drain the heck out of your phone battery very quickly with all that stuff. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind too. If you're trying to do an extended live thing, if you got all that external
Okay.
stuff plugged in, you'll kill your phone battery.
Okay, I haven't tried it yet, but then again, of course, when you're doing it with just your phone, you're supposed to be doing it informal, and if you put all that formal stuff on it, it's not like,
Right, right.
you're kind of messing up the whole reason for that kind of live to begin with.
Right, right.
So, all right, well, we are coming to the end of this show, and so the question is, any more questions, or Jeremy, do you have anything more to share with the world?
if you're thinking about doing podcasting or live streaming of any sort, just go for it. Try it out. A lot of people get really nervous and think, what if people don't watch me? And, I don't want to waste my time. At the end of the day, like I said before, consistency is key.
Yeah.
If people like what you're doing, they're going to, and if they don't come back and watch, then you got to change something.
Yes. And I want to tell everybody, when you do your live for the first time, people are going to say, well, what is this? They're not used to it. You have a
Yes.
certain style for your outreach, and that's what people expect. You throw on a live, it's all of a sudden it's what is this? And so don't expect a whole lot of people to come to your first live unless you're like you've got a whole rabid audience that will follow you anywhere.
Right.
Most of us start off kind of small. For example, this is the first time I've done a live for the Reptile Entrepreneur. And so nobody in the Reptile Entrepreneur audience is ready for a live session. They are ready for the podcast. And so for this live session, I have gotten a very few people on the Reptile Entrepreneur here in the chat. They're all for Jeremy. I think I had one or two. But I expected that because this is the first time I've done this. This is the first time people from the podcast is saying, wait, I've got to go to YouTube. Why am I doing this? But I know as soon as I put this on the podcast, I'm going to get hundreds of listens.
Right.
Because that's what I've built up. That's what they expect. That's my audience. And so, when you start if you want to start your live, you got to get your audience used to the fact that you're going to be doing a live. That's all I got to say. And believe in yourself. And by that, I mean, once you decide you want to do a live show, do it consistently.
Yeah.
All of social media lives off of build it and they will come. If you're doing it every week, people will find you. They will stumble over you and they'll say, hey, this is pretty cool. And I'll hang out. But you've got to be doing it consistently for that to happen. And that's just social media.
Yeah.
So, all hail. Okay. All right. Are we doing an invocation here?
That's he's not wrong.
He's not wrong at all. He said it, and that's the way it is. We have to feed the gods.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's a find your own path and promote it. And this really is. I know that there's people out there that they do something and it goes viral and all of a sudden they're thrown into stardom, but that doesn't happen most of the time. Oh,
right.
All right, all. Jeremy, I want to thank you so very much for coming on and being on this first live session with me, all about live sessions. Seemed appropriate. Really appreciate you sharing your experience.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
And everybody who's come, really appreciate you coming to this. And this will show up on the podcast soon. But I think I wanted to do a little bit more of this on the YouTube and the lives because there's so much that we could do. And I think I'm going to do more here on this channel here. So anyway.
Heck yeah.